Hello, my piano friends. Welcome back to another Piano Lessons with Joel. At the time of this recording, we just got through a snowstorm and half of the country is shut down due to the snowstorm. So I thought, let's get a lesson in here while we're all inside. Let's begin with our warm-up on page 37, Marianne. Okay. Get your left hand into C position. You have your third finger on E. Your thumb is ready for the G. Right hand, let's get that ready on the G7 chord and be ready for that tie that comes up in measure 3 in the left hand. All right, let's play together. 1, 2, left hand starts. 1, 2. All right, how are you doing with that piece? Again, go back and play through that, practice, and play again with the recording. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and turn the page. Let's talk a little bit more about the G7 chord for the left hand, and then on the next page we have the G7 chord for the right hand. We've gone over these 7 chords quite a bit in the last 2 lessons, so let's just kind of go down each page. We'll play everything. I'm going to trust that you will fill in any of the writing that needs to be done. I'll leave that up to you. All right, the construction of 7th chords will be more fully explained later. For now, the G7 chord will be made by playing B, F, G using left hand 5, 2, and 1, which we have already discussed. Okay, there's our G7 chord in the left hand. It is easy to move from the C major chord to the G7 chord and back again because both chords have the same G in common. Okay, and that's that thumb on G that does not move. The thumb stays right in its place. So practice that. You can take a second and practice going from your C chord to your G7 chord and back again. Back to that. Okay, so you can take some time with that right now if you want. Let's move on. Chord symbols. In popular music, chord symbols are used to identify chord names. The symbol for the C major chord is C. The symbol for the G7th chord is G7. Okay, and then your job is to write the names of the chord above each one of the chords. Okay, let's go ahead and play that. Again, I'm going to trust that you will take care of writing in, and I will trust that it will all be correct. Okay, double check yourself. Make sure you have the labeling correct. Otherwise, just go ahead and play. So get your left hand ready with your C chord, 5, 3, and 1, and be ready to move to the G7 chord with your 5, 2, and 1. 1, 2, ready, and play. G7, back to C. 2, 3, again. Rest, ready, and go. 2, 1, 2, 1, rest. Let's take the repeat. Go. Rest, rest, go. rest, rest, go. Rest, rest, rest. Great. Again, working on playing all three fingers at the exact same time, especially when we're repeating the chords. It's very easy to let those fingers get a little bit lazy and not come down exactly at the same time. So take some time. Maybe we should slow this down when you're practicing at home. Slow this down. To make sure your fingers are moving at the same time. Okay, I mentioned that because I heard once or twice where my fingers were not coming down exactly the same time, and I noticed that. So that's something we all can work on. Moving on. Bottom of the page there, we have our tied notes. Again, tying the notes is adding the value of the two notes together. So in the case at the bottom of the page, we have 4 beats for the first chord. We have 4 beats for the second chord. 4 plus 4 is 8. So we're going to hold for a combined value of 8 counts there. Let's just run through that one time, and then we'll move on to page 39. 1, 2, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, ready, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, rest, rest, rest. Great. Let's go on to the next page. So essentially the same thing here, except for now we're playing in the right hand. And as we've discovered, with the right hand, it's the pinky that stays put on the G, and it's the 4th finger that moves to the F, and the thumb moves down to the B. So we go from the C chord to the G7 chord, our pinky stays put, and the thumb moves down to the B. Let's go to number 4 and play this exercise with the right hand. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, go. 2, 3, go. 1, rest. Let's take the repeat, go. 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, second line. 2, 3, 4. All right. Again, if you need to take some time to practice that, please stop the recording now. Practice that, and then come back. Okay, let's go to the bottom where we're going to put our right hand and left hand together. Again, I'm expecting that you'll write in all the correct labels for each chord. Take your time and be neat. Writing G7 is probably something new for us, so take your time writing that. Let's play at the bottom. Our right hand begins, and we start out with half notes, and then we jump to the left hand in the second measure, back to right hand with all quarter notes, and then we end up with quarter notes and half notes in the last measure. And let's plan to take the repeat. 1, 2, right hand starts. 2, left hand, right hand. Repeat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. How are you making out with that one? Again, go back, take your time, and practice that one. We have come to the Hands Together Challenge. Now, I know on these pages in front of you, there's nothing where we're actually playing hands together. But like we did in the last lesson, let's take a big step here and see if we can play. Let's do the bottom of page 39, but we're going to play all those chords all the way through with both hands. Typically, if it says rest in the bass clef there for your left hand, we rest. And typically when it says rest for your right hand, we rest. But in this special little case here, let's work and play that entire line with both hands. Just to get our fingers moving and thinking on that higher level. All right, so both hands together, and let's take this a little bit slower. 1, 2, hands together, go. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, and repeat. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, how are you making out with that? Now, I will say that might be a big step, as we said the last time, and maybe just practicing hands alone a good number of times first will help you get through that. So take that challenge if you can. If you're more comfortable with just playing as written, right hand first and left hand, then just do that. But if you're ready for that hands together, take that hands together challenge. Let's move on. Turn the page to page 40. And let's talk about time signature. Sorry to interrupt this lesson, but I have this book linked below if you'd like to get yourself a copy of that. And I have the beat bit piano note strips that we have been using to help us along the way, laying across my keyboard here. So you can scroll down once we're done the lesson and pick up those items if you wish, right from those links. Now back to your lesson. We've talked a bit about time signature in past lessons. But it's always worth reviewing what these numbers mean that we see at the beginning of every piece of music. Let's talk about 4/4, review 4/4, and then we'll get into 3/4 that we have in our book there. So 4/4, the top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. Okay, simple enough. We're allowed to have 4 beats inside of each measure. And again, I consider a measure like a box of music. Okay, so there's a box here, a measure here, and then there's a box over here on my tiny staff here. But we need to measure how much we can fit into each one of those boxes of music. Okay, we're allowed to have 4 beats in a measure. The bottom number here tells us that the quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay. So if we take this number out and put a 1 over top of it, that is the fraction 1/4 or 1/4. So the quarter note gets the beat. The time signature itself, the time signature in and of itself is not a fraction. However, when we take that bottom number out and put a 1 over it, it does tell us the type of note that gets 1 beat. So we need to know what type of note receives a beat. We know that we get 4 beats in a measure, but what type of note gets 1 beat? Well, the quarter note gets 1 beat. That bottom number can change as well as the top number, as we can see here on page 40. The bottom number can change as well. For instance, we could have 6/8. That's another very familiar time signature once we get a little bit further. 6 beats in a measure. We take that 8 out, put a 1 over top of it. The 8th note receives 1 beat. We'll get to that time signature a little ways down the road. Let's do one more. If we had 4/2, 4 beats in a measure, the half note gets a beat in 4/2 time. Now, that's a little ways down the road as well. So I don't want to confuse you any further, but I'm just trying to emphasize that we do need to know what type of note receives 1 beat, and it's that bottom number in the time signature that gives us that information. All right, so let's just put some notes up here to confirm 4 beats in a measure, a little exercise for us. So we could have, let's do everything on G again. I like the note G. 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 beats in a measure. Each one of these quarter notes gets 1 beat. Now we also know that a half note gets 2 beats in 4/4 time, so we could put that over there. Let's see, going on down here, let's use the note C. Let's put 2 half notes here. Okay, that works. 2 beats here plus 2 beats there. And then there's one note that we know of that will take up the entire measure, and that being the whole note. In 4/4 time, the whole note gets 4 beats. Okay, and this all works out very well. It's a beautiful piece of music that I just put on the board here. All right, let's take a look at 3/4 time, and we'll see that there is certainly a difference between 3/4 time and 4/4 time. Give me a second to clean up here, and we'll get to 3/4 time. In 3/4 time, as you guessed, we have 3 beats in a measure now. We cannot put 4 beats in a measure. That's against the law in 3/4 time. So we have 3 beats in a measure, and the bottom 4 tells us that the quarter note gets 1 beat. So the bottom number has remained the same from 4/4 time. In 3/4 time, we're only allowed to put 3 beats in a measure. Let's write out what we have in our book. So we have a quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, beat 1, 1, 2, 3. And then they followed up with a dotted half note. Okay, so the half note all by itself gets 2 beats. 1, 2. In 3/4 time, or 4/4 time for that matter, but in 3/4 time, that dot is going to add 1 more beat to the half note. So that is beat number 3. So that dotted half note is going to take up the entire measure. We can no longer put a whole note in a measure in 3/4 time. That is not allowed, because that would get 4 beats, and that would signal the alarms and so forth. We don't want that to happen, right? So we cannot put a whole note in a measure in 3/4 time. The largest note we can have, or the longest note we can have, is the dotted half note. We'll talk more about the dot, but the dot adds half the value of the note back to itself in any situation where we have a dotted note. In this case, this one's easy. Half of 2 is 1. We're going to add 1 more beat to the half note. I'll go ahead and put the second measure we have here. Okay. this is what we have in the book, just below the pink boxes there where we're supposed to clap. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, it happens twice in your book there. Now, if we were to do this together, we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if I play both of these on the piano, of course, I have a high G and a real low C there. So I'm going to scoot over here. All right, here we go. 1, ready, and go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, what a beautiful piece we just composed on the board there. I think from what we just did on the board there, you're beginning to hear how 3/4 is a bit different than 4/4 when we just have that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Instantly you hear a difference in which beat is emphasized and which beats are not. It just gives a completely different feel. Let's go to rockets. Moderately fast. We begin this one with the left hand on C. And we essentially just have our C position for the first 2 measures in both hands. And then we come down on the G7. So be ready to move that pinky down with the left hand and then back to C. And the second line is just a repeat of the first line. Here we go. Let's begin. Pinky, left hand on C. 1, ready, go. 1, hands together. 2, 1, 2. Second system. Yes. How did you do with the hands together in measure 3 and 4 of both lines? Let's do it again. Left hand starts. 1, ready, go. 1, 1, 2, rest. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so word of caution, at the end of the first system where we have the half note on the word moon, half note followed by a rest. Make sure you count that. The tendency from my experience with students is to try to turn that measure into a measure of 4/4, trying to have that rest last for more than one beat. But that is still a 3/4 measure, so make sure you count there. 1, 2, 3, and then move on. Same with the very end. That's a dotted half note that gets 3 beats. So don't hold on to that forever either, right? So we come to the end there. 1, 2, 3. So be sure you are actively counting as you do that. Again, if you need to take time with that, go back and practice and then come back to the video and play along. As a matter of fact, how about we do it one more time? Be sure to count. Be careful of the last measure in each system. And here we go. 1, left hand starts, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rest, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. Well done, my friends. Bravo. At the bottom, where you see important, it gives you some direction as to playing an octave higher. So have fun with that. Read through that. An octave means that instead of playing, an octave means 8 notes higher or lower from where you are, basically, right? So they want you to play, let's see, play Rockets Again, playing the second line 1 octave higher. The rest and the end of the first line give you time to move your hands to the new position. So they're suggesting that they want you to play 1 octave higher for the second line. So it would look like, or sound like this. I'll start at measure 3. 1, 2, rest, and then move up here. That's what an octave is. We're just moving everything from here up to there. And the half note gives you time to think at the end of the line, and that rest will give you time to move. Now, if that rest is not enough time for you to get from here to up there, then you're playing too fast. Okay, so slow everything down, slow the tempo down so that you can move from here to there. All right, so I want you to practice both of those directions there, where it tells you to play an octave higher on the second line, and then the first, for the second direction there, they want you to start up here and then move down here. Okay, again, being able to move across your keyboard, looking ahead, physically eyeing up where you need to go before you're actually moving. So when your hands are here, you have an idea of where your hands need to get to up here. Okay, now a lot of times we're doing that just by feel. Okay, we're feeling where our hands need to be on the keyboard. But there's a lot of times where we have to actually look to where we're going. And I think we're all at that state right now where we need to look to be sure we land in the correct position an octave higher. That is part of your homework, my friends. Speaking of homework, let's talk about homework. Page 41. There's a bit of math on page 41, and I am very excited for that. So in the number 1, you're writing in the counts that each note receives. So that's pretty simple. You're going to put a 1, 1, 1, and then over the half notes, you're putting a 2. Number 3 there, under each line, write one note equal in value to the sum of the 2 notes above it, as shown in the first example. I'm not even going to do an example for you. They have one there for you. I'm very interested in how you make out with that exercise. That looks like a lot of fun to me. We're going to review dynamics over the week for homework, and then you have a little bit more writing in down at the bottom. Make sure you read those directions carefully. We have 3/4 and 4/4 going on at the bottom there, so make sure you read through and know exactly what you're writing in. We will check all of that on our homework check over the next few days. All right, that is it, my friends. So continue working on page 38 and 39. You can go back and do some warm-up with Marianne and some of the pieces before, of course, building your repertoire. And then work through 38, 39, page 40. Make sure you know exactly what 3/4 means and what it does for us as musicians, what it tells us to do for us as musicians. And then take some time on measure 41, get your pencils out, and write in those answers there, and we'll do a homework check with that. You know what? We're not going to do a separate homework check. We're going to check that in our next lesson, and then we'll just continue from there. Okay, that is it, my friends. Thank you for joining me today with Piano Lessons with Joel. Until our next video, thank you for joining me. Happy practicing. I'll see you in the next lesson.